I really want to work on though, like something that I feel like that we're all kind of like falling back on a bit. I feel like that, like us being in Pulse Chain, everybody shares their stuff on Twitter, da da da. But it's like we're preaching to the choir a bit, right? I don't see a lot of posts directed towards Binance, but I think we really need to put like a driving force behind trying to get people from failed coin communities that still have an existence of some sort, or like projects that like really are hurt because of the gas fees and things like that. Like we got to really put our heads together and think about like full on communities that could really benefit from using Pulse Chain if they may be fed up with Ethereum.
Yeah, man, because those gas fees have killed many good projects and projects that even had strong communities. NFT marketplaces and the NFT stuff coming is going to bring like a wave of an NFT alt season or something to Pulse Chain, because there's a lot of NFT projects out there also that got murdered by Ethereum gas fees. I know I see people coming in every day that I talk to from Binance or some other chain, and I'm really big in the Zen community also. I've got a project over there, and the Zen guys have been coming over to Pulse Chain. Guys that they thought Pulse Chain was a joke, that they hated Hex, whatever. Because of Itropa and PDI, I mean, these guys have been asking me questions for weeks, and they've been bridging across and coming over, man. It's just a wave of activity that really makes me really optimistic about the future, man. It's great.
Yeah, and honestly, like the opposite side of that, right? So like I've got some friends that are like pretty big into Ethereum, like are they were miners like a long time ago and just have been deep in the community for a long time. And I tried to bring up Pulse Chain to them, and they didn't even know what it was. They had never heard of Richard Hart before in their lives. And when I told them they all had like free copies, they just kind of chuckled. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to take some time, I think. But the fact that there are still people out there who have no idea who Richard Hart is, no idea what Pulse Chain is, that is actually bullish because they don't have any sentiment towards him, right? They don't know, they don't hate him yet. They don't like, all these different ideas that people may have. That's not there, right? So I think that's kind of like a benefit.
No, man, you're exactly right on that. Like I said, it's just been really refreshing to see guys that maybe even had a negative view of Hex or Richard Hart for whatever reason. They didn't understand what was going on, and they're bridging across and coming over the last few weeks. And you guys are a big part of that, man. That's awesome. That's really great, actually.
All of that shit goes right out the window when they see these amazing gains that we printing all over here. Richard
That's
Hart
right.
had me blocked for the longest. You think I'm gonna let that get in the way of making gains? Gotta be fucking kidding me, bro.
No, I know. Yeah, he blocked me a couple years ago too, so I feel you on that, man, for
Dude,
sure.
are we
Yeah.
all blocked by Richard? He blocked me too within my first like month of Pulse Chain.
Damn, I'm not blocked. But no, I was gonna say Iceman, dude. I really appreciate that sentiment and your feedback on that. And I think there's like, and there might still be to some extent like a rift between the Zen and the Hex community. And I think that like more people are just kind of like chilling out and going like it's cool to see people in both communities too, and it's like there's no need for that kind of beef. I think it was mainly both it was kind of jabs from back and forth
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
Richard and Jack. Richard and Jack just kind of got into it, and then I guess all of us kind of followed on either side, but it's all pointless. Like there's no we can all anybody can be in both coins and we can all work together. So yeah, I'm glad to see people from Hex and Zen in here, or people that hold both coins. So I agree with you. Pulse chains for everybody, man.
Exactly, man. I mean, Pulse Chains bringing communities together. Yeah, a lot of that hate stuff needs to dissipate. Being a maxi for anything, in my experience, is never a good thing. So I think we all just need to continue to come together, man, for sure.
And honestly, lately I've been seeing the maximalism like cut in half and cut in half and then cut in half again. Like really, like people are kind of opening up their minds. I think a little bit more and more to the idea that like before we were in Hex, right? We had a founder for Hex, and that's what he created for us, right? But that kind of mindset was basically forced into shifting, right? Because now this same creator is the creator of an L1, and in an L1, it's like a shopping mall, right? You can't just have one store that you go to, or else all the other stores will fail and your mall will fail, right? Nobody can pay the rent. Um, So I just I definitely have been seeing less of the maximalism, and definitely a bit of more hope from people that were pretty fearful and like reaching out to people in basically pain and panic, saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't do this. You should only get this or whatever. You're doing it wrong." Now it's like maybe being a little bit more quiet or just trying to promote their own thing and not necessarily putting other people down, which is more positive, I guess.
Yeah, man. Totally agree with that, man. You're right.
The hate is lessening too, bro. And I mean, so for example, right, a long time ago, somebody was in my ear like, "Oh, the post chain shit, it doesn't make any sense. How do you copy and paste liquidity? This, that, and the third." They filled my brain with FUD, right? And I was like, "Yeah, man, you're right. Fuck post chain." And this was like probably more than a year ago. And it took a conversation with Mando, right? Mando pretty much sat me down and for a good 20 minutes just pounded the whole post chain everything into me. So I was like, oh shit, well now I'm bullish, right? And these type of people, right, that were in my ear and telling me all this shit are the same people within the last, I would say, 7 days. They're in my DM, bro. How do I bridge, bro? What's the dex, bro? What's this? What's that? You know what I say? Go to my pin tweet. Everything is right there. It's idiot proof, bro. So we're turning haters into believers, bro. Like this is a movement, man.
Yeah.
We're really shaking up the whole DeFi, everything, bro. We're shaking this system up, bro. Like, what is it? 100 and something days?
And
It's not even
No,
shit, bro.
you're right, man. It is a movement, and I feel like things are just getting started too, man. That's what blows my mind. You know,
Dude,
it's going to get a lot larger.
it blows my mind every day, man. Like that we're part of like we were here at the beginning, like the inception of a new blockchain. I'm guessing that all of you guys were here on day one, like when we were ratio trading before it even had a price, before the bridge of the first Ethereum over here, before we got dollar signs. Like, dude, I probably did a couple risky ratio trades in the beginning, but I ended up profiting off it. But I don't know. I got like 20,000, like not much, but I got like 20,000 hex for something really cheap, or 40,000 hex, like from like a million, like half a million pulse or something. Like I did in the first like 2 minutes of live ratio trading. Anyway, but the
okay.
point is that it's been crazy to see this evolve, and we're here for a brand new blockchain with cheap gas, and like it's faster than Ethereum. So, dude, it's just blowing my mind every day what we're a part of.
And the beautiful thing about it is, right, so like on top of all of that, right, we're doing this without venture capitalist money, right? And that has got to be one of the biggest deals about Pulse Chain, right? VCs fucking ruin everything that they touch, right? They just want their money to be pumped and then dumped. And Holonomics made a great post about this earlier. That's why I'm just like referencing it right now. But seriously, like we have Pulse Chain, who's started by Richard Hart, like the anti VC, right? Like seriously benevolent dude, all about doing good. Um, like we get to have this chain that is not fucking overridden by these people that are just trying to freaking extract your value, right? This is an open chain, an open market where people are free to create and also to lose as well, obviously, but there's not like this big VC overlord system that's basically you know arbitraging your world away and making sure you come out with less than you put in.
It's true DeFi, bro. It's DeFi in its most natural and purest form, the way that it was supposed to be, bro.
Well said. Well said, all of you. 100% agree with all that.
What my opinion is that whoever's creating these tokens is kind of like painting a vision, right, for Pulse Chain. And I think it's like dropping little hints and clues as to what could be to come. Because although I don't feel like this Monat Money company that does this prepaid Visa card is in any way associated with what's going on here, I don't believe that that is true. I do know that Richard Hart has talked about peer-to-peer payments, how Pulse Chain solves a payments issue for people all around the world who can't transact peer-to-peer, and that like his ultimate vision basically is for us to be able to spend our money privately and anonymously, and securely, right? So it's of my opinion that whoever's creating these tokens is kind of just throwing out hints and getting our minds prepared for something that's to come in the future. I really believe that all these 414 tokens are going to be used as liquidity backstops in the future. I really feel like they're creating basically like rings of a tree, right? As the tree gets older, it gets more strong. Just like this PDI, right? As the rings around the PDI and Atropa network become bigger and stronger, full of liquidity, I feel like that strengthens PDI ultimately. And we could see a shift in the liquidity from all these other tokens into PDI when the time is right. That's just my opinion, though. Pulseformer, you got your hand up. I want to hear what your opinion is.
Yeah, so like to people who've been like paying attention to this is like Hart's Law, liquidity bonding, whatever masterclass. If you're actually paying attention and seeing like what's being bonded with everything else and how one token can affect 10 others, it really is like it's like a Hart's Law masterclass if you're really actually paying attention to it and seeing what's going on. Like I've tried to keep myself from like getting like one of those giant boards and looking like Charlie from It's Always Sunny or whatever, just trying to figure it actually like out. But yeah, I think you're right, Zach, about like liquidity backstops. It's kind of like let's say let's say 9iron sells 100 million PDI. Okay, it's gonna hit the PDI book. Like let's say it's PDI to Pulse. Okay, he's gonna get a bunch of Pulse out of that pool and leave a bunch of PDI. Right, that's gonna create like all these tokens basically just absorb all of that money and all of that like economic energy to keep it stable. And a big question that I want to know is, let's say PDI hits $1, okay, it stabilizes, blah blah blah, all our dreams come true, yay. Okay, does that mean that everybody's just gonna cash it out and just like walk with the money, or are they gonna use it to like dump it into their favorite tokens?
No, exactly. I
Right?
think that's more likely to happen, honestly.
Yeah,
Like, because I mean, when you think about it, right? Like when you make a bunch of crypto gains, right? Say if we're on ETH and it's years ago, right? We hit it big on Sheep. We just both made 20 million bucks, right? What do
yeah,
you do at that point, right? You go and put that money into a stable coin, and then you take out what you need, right? Like what you need. If you want to buy a house, you take out some money to buy a house. If you want to go do something else, you take out money to go for a vacation. You don't just like
right,
take it out and put it in your bank, because we know that the American dollar loses value all the time. And
yeah.
you can't really fucking trust a bank with your money anymore these days. So I think the majority of the people, and this is not for everybody, right? People with only like a million PDI, yeah, sure, they may cash out $1 million, right? I would probably do that too. If I only had
Wouldn't
a
blame
million
them.
PDI, I would probably cash that shit out, put it in my bank, and then go crazy with it or do whatever I could, start a business or something. I would
Yeah.
probably do that. But since I have more than just a million, obviously, there's a lot of things that I'm thinking of to do with it: staking protocols, collateralization, liquidity pools, all types of stuff.
Right, because like, look, I don't know about you guys, but I always try to think of the future, and I try to think like, okay, hey, I wake up one morning and my favorite token went to the moon, and now sudden wealth syndrome starts kicking in. Okay, I want to make sure that I have a plan, right? And like, what I want to do with that money is I want to take it and earn yield, because it's PDI. It just went to $1 and it's at $1 now, so you have a bunch of dollars, right? What are you gonna use those dollars for? Whatever you're gonna use them for is what you're gonna use them for. But like you said, go start a business, or maybe learn now how to generate as much yield as you can. Stuff like that. Set yourself up. Don't be one of those guys that made like $1 million and then like in 2 years he's broke again because he didn't know what he was gonna do with it. But I'm sure that like most people here like are already like way past that part of their life where they're like, yeah, I wouldn't just like blow it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think every day that goes by, we all lose more and more faith in the U.S. dollar. And a digital, stable coin sounds much, much better to me, honestly. So yeah, I really hope we get to that point. Carl, what are you gonna do with yours?
What I'm gonna do with mine? Well, like you said, liquidity provide staking protocols. I'll definitely do some hex stakes. I'll have some long ones, and I'll have some 30-day rolling. Like, dude, millions of hex, just 30-day rolling, getting dollars on dollars per day in yield. Yeah, I'll do some liquidity pools. I want to have just multiple streams of just passives, like get money while I sleep income. Because yeah, once you hit a certain amount of money, that threshold, then you can just generate yield for the rest of your life and live off that once you hit a certain point of money. But yeah, man, I'm gonna travel the fucking world and hopefully meet the right girl or something.
Say Pulse does like, say it does like a 50x. Okay, if you were paying, let's say, or 100 pulse per transaction, I think that in Pulse did a 50x, you would be paying like 50 times less in Pulse, because people are more focused on like the reason that Ethereum gas fees are so high is because people are willing to pay them, right? If they go too high, then they won't pay them. If they go too low, there's basically a floor for there's a floor, right? So if Pulse does a 50x and you have to spend $10 on a transaction in Pulse, random numbers, okay, not correct math, but you have to spend $10 a transaction, you'll be like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then, it's like a bidding system, kind of, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen, because if Pulse like just decides to just make all of our dreams come true, right, and just go to the moon, does that mean that like we'll go from paying like 100 pulse per transaction to paying like 10 pulse per transaction, or will we still be paying 100 pulse per transaction on like a 50 or 100x, right? I'm interested to see what's going to happen there.
I don't know. I thought it was going to be the same. I thought it was just going to be like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be the same. Like, I thought we were going to be paying maybe like $1 per transaction in the future, but I could be wrong. I might be wrong.
I can see that,
But
but because of how much pulse there is, that's, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right?
But
I'm excited.
for example, Binance chain did more than 50x, and the value of the transactions is still cheap. Or other chains also.
Right. Because people were, instead of paying 100 pulse, they're like, yo, I'm just going to pay 5 pulse now. So, and if people decide to do that, like we could actually make gas fees cheaper than they are now, but it would just take everybody to just be like, okay, figure out how to do it. But you're not going to be able to coordinate everybody to do that. It's my understanding that like if a validator is, everybody's comfortable with paying 3 cents for gas fees, or 3 cents or whatever it is, and the validators are fine with accepting that. Well, if the demand goes up, then it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down, and the validators are just gonna do it. But it's like an auction system. The highest bidder is going to get the block space, right? That's why back when, you remember, like I think it was Zen that launched, and it drove Ethereum gas prices to like $1,500 to do a transaction. That's because people were still comfortable with paying that, so it just went that high. If people aren't, like on Pulse Chain, when you see it, you see the pulse. It goes from like, oh, it's normally 100 pulse to do a transaction, and now it's 22,000. Well, it spikes up and then it comes down really fast. Well, that's usually a sign that like the chain just got super busy, and so the blocks got full. And so with the blocks being full, the highest bidder got in, so it just drove the price up, and then everybody was like, nah. And then whatever was causing all those transactions and taking up all that block space stopped, and then it just went straight back down, to the
Yeah.
100, right? And that's because the demand just vanished, right? But if those are like random spikes in like high activity going on the chain, right? And then it turns off, it stops or whatever. But when you're talking about like slowly, gradually bringing in more users and more users, like we go from 10,000 to 50,000 users a day, you would expect the price to go up by 10x or whatever, or 5x.
Right.
You see
Metcalf's
what
law.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that for like 30 minutes, but yeah, it's a bidding system is all it is, and the highest bidder gets the block space, and like the way that I explain it to people is, it's like, okay, so let's take Ethereum when Zen launched. Okay, it's like downtown LA and 5 o'clock traffic on a Friday. Okay, and like lo and behold, we're in the future, and you can just call a quadcopter because you're rich to come pick up your car and fly you home because you're like, screw this traffic, whatever. Okay, those were the people that were paying $1,500 to get their transaction filled back then. Okay, they're just like, I don't care, I have the money, like screw it. I don't like, or they made a mistake, whatever it was. But it's like, yeah, the highest bidder just immediately gets out of the traffic, gets his transaction filled on the block, and he's happy. He paid the bill. But $1,500 on transaction isn't realistic, so that didn't last long.
Well put, man. Well put.
It's like a prostitute. When the prostitute has more clients, she can
Yeah,
charge more.
yeah. She only got so much space, man. So like, the highest bidder.
You guys and your analogies here.
Hey, it keeps it fair, man. And because of the supply of Pulse is so much greater than Ethereum, that's why Pulse has lower gas fees, because it's a million times the supply of Ethereum, right? So that means you're gonna have like however many X's less gas, And it makes it's more fluid now, right? Ethereum's not fluid enough for the amount of people that are on it. That's why it's not fluid enough. So what do? You just create a million times the supply, and now it's liquid enough, for adoption.
But yeah, Gensler should get fired.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna lose. He keeps losing credibility. So yeah, and Richard's kind of already proven this case. So whatever.
I'm calling it right now. Gensler's going to end up working for Coinbase.
That would be
Yeah,
hilarious.
I agree. And it's funny you
I
say
swear
that.
to God, they're going to fucking hire his ass. I swear. He'll have.
It's funny you say that, Zach, because they're appointed officials, right? They do have term limits. So Gensler will be out eventually. I think his term is up in 2025, maybe. But they have to enter the marketplace and find a job because the United States government is not really paying life-changing generational wealth. So, like, hey, we're normal people just like you trying to make it through life. And eventually we're going to have to enter the open market to be hireable. So Gary Gensler, whatever he's doing, I don't think that his eyes are set on this vigilante or this crusader, I should say, in saving the investor from investing into crypto. He has other sights, other goals in mind after all this is said and done. Whatever he's doing now will play into what his path is after his term is up.